play, if we are lucky, we'll be able to play your videos. I'm looking for them, but I don't know where they are hiding. You know, technology, everything is still quite new, so find them anyway. Oh, I think I got too many. You know, all these WhatsApp groups, they disturb us these days. In 1 minute, you can have 20 videos from just one group, you know. But never mind. I'll go ahead and read your profile, your intimidating profile. Sir Linus Okorie, as I love to call him, is a renowned leadership development coach and human capital development consultant. For over 20 years, Linus has been known as a relentless icon in the quest for good leadership in public and corporate governance in Nigeria. His vast experience in leadership coaching, mentoring, and advocacy across the world for over 2 decades has distinguished him as a trusted name in leadership excellence. He is the founder and president, guardian of the Nation International, Gotney, a leadership development non-profit organization which has developed 15 leadership brands to train and nurture youths, elected officials, and the general public on effective leadership skills and values. Consistently, Linus Okorie has carved a niche as an authority in leadership development with a career development path defined by the principles of selfless service, dignity, and integrity. Since inception, Linus Okorie has piloted Gotney to become Nigeria's foremost leadership capital development organization, including the establishment of Gotney Leadership Center in Maitama, Abuja. He is currently working towards building the much anticipated Global Leadership Center at the Oguta Lake in Imo State, where excellent leaders will be groomed for the growth and development of Nigeria and the African continent. He is pioneering the emergence of a new breed of well-equipped and competent leaders to filtrate the public and private sectors hierarchies in Nigeria and the rest of Africa. Linus Okorie is also the managing consultant of New Vision Consult, a world-class leadership consulting firm. He is the West African representative of Ad Air International, United Kingdom. He has inspired over 300,000 people across Nigeria and Africa who have directly gone through his leadership programs and millions through radio and television. As an influential speaker, Linus Okorie has graced many live conferences, radio and television platforms across the Middle East, Europe, and the USA. As guest speaker, trainer, and advisor, he is a regular guest in many print and electronic media, radio, and television platforms across Nigeria. He is a radio and television presenter and host of Leadership Clinic on AIT. He is the author of Footprints Leading Beyond Today, a book already in the world market, which was forwarded by Dr. Miles Monroe, my good friend of blessed memory. He attended Government Secondary School, Owerri, Imo State, where he became the senior prefect of his school. He is a graduate of History and International Relations at Imo State University, where he served as the first elected Students' Union government president and later did his national youth service with the National Assembly, Abuja, after which he proceeded to carry out a research in his area of passion, leadership development, at the Lagos Business School. Linus Okorie has a master's degree in organizational leadership from Regent University, Virginia Beach, USA. He is an alumnus of the International Visitors Program, IVLP, sponsored by the US government under the Department of State, a program which has produced 300 presidents of various countries since its inception. Linus Okorie is also an alumnus of the Executive Leadership Education Program of Harvard University's Kennedy School of Government, Boston, USA, with a certification in the Act and Practice of Leadership. In recognition of his exceptional contributions to leadership development, he has recently bagged 2 honorary doctoral degree awards and was inducted into the College of Fellows at the African Business School. He also recently received a doctoral honorary degree in Leadership Development Studies from Gregory University, Uturu, Abia State in Nigeria. He is board member of Imo State University alumni and many others. Linus Okorie is a consummate leader of men, a man of honor, a nation builder, a resource mobilizer, and a leading scholar in the growth and development of nations. He has received several local and international awards in recognition of his dynamic effort in business, leadership development, community service, and good governance advocacy, such as the Best of Africa Award by the U.S. Africa magazine, Houston, Texas, FraserNet International USA, and many more. Linus Okorie was the governorship candidate of the Young Progressive Party, Imo State of Nigeria. Linus hails from Umu Ezike Egbo Egboma in Okuta local government area of Imo State. He's married to our sister Nkiru, with whom he has 2 daughters, Ebubechukwu, Chimamaka, and a son, Chukwuebuka. Linus Okorie has been studying under some of the best names in the world: Dr. Miles Monroe, Professor John Maxwell, John Tracy, George Fraser, Professor F.S. Gamaliel Onosode, our papa, oh, God bless his soul, and many more. So, on this note, I have the pleasure, the honor of welcoming you on this program, and I'm sure a lot of my viewers will benefit from your wealth of it. I must say, I went through that profile because it may sound immodest to some people for you to describe your accomplishments. So I had to do it for you. Usually we allow our guests to introduce themselves, but this would have been too much for you to do. So
thank you.
You can still do it in your own way.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
To talk about your life, your trajectory from birth to date. I would love for my viewers to know more about you.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone on the platform. I was born in a city called Kumba in southwest province of Cameroon, Republic of Cameroon. I was born, in fact, my mother had 9 of us. And I lost my father when I was in class 3 in secondary school. In fact, I was sent to Nigeria to attend secondary school. And when I lost my dad, I was literally alone in the world. My mom had to cater for 9 children, 9 of us. Yeah. I mean, she worked so hard. She sold a lot of stuff to ensure that I could go to school. In fact, it will interest you to know, Dele, that when I had the opportunity of passing through government secondary school Okorie, I was one of the poorest students because almost everybody in government secondary school were from middle background or very wealthy homes. But God gave me the opportunity to get admission into that great institution. By the way, the school is about 80 years old. And it was, I had to travel to Cameroon to buy bomb sweets and sell back and forth to be able to raise money to be able to go to secondary school in that sense. In fact, I started from secondary school to send money to my mom at home, you know, literally. It was a very difficult experience. But nevertheless, I believed that I would succeed. And I worked so hard, and I became the senior prefect of government secondary school Okorie. And becoming the senior prefect of that great institution gave me a lot of responsibilities because the school is about 80 years old and has produced almost everybody who is who.
Wow.
You can imagine when I finished school, Uncle Dele, what did I do? Nobody to sponsor me to university. So I had to fight my way through by looking at the directory of the Old Boys Association. And if I saw numbers, and I called numbers of people that I didn't know, but they went through my school, or I went through their school, and I had to start calling them. In fact, there were 5 families that, out of the many that accepted my call and invited me to Lagos. In fact, if you look behind me, I'm sure you see, books, a lot of books. You know, one of the families is a man called Chief Chris Asoluka. Chris Asoluka at that point in time was the Imo State Commissioner for Finance. Very young man at that time. He invited me to Lagos to his house. And when I walked into his library, I just walked into his library in Lagos. All I could see was books all over. One big room filled with books. And I sat with him almost all night till about 4 a.m. in the morning. He was reading. And when he asked me certain questions, I could not answer those questions. And he began to just, he wasn't excited. And I said to myself, you know what? I went and carried my bag from somewhere else and brought my bag in. The man that I do not know, I brought my bag to his house. And when the wife saw my bag, the wife said, whose bag is this? They said, I'm the one. So she took my bag and put it in a boy's quarter. That's how I started staying in his house.
Wow.
And every night I went into the library, pick up a book, and we'll be reading with him. So in a week, I could read 3-4 books in a week. I fell in love with books.
Wow.
And it was from those books that I began, to experience a lot of stuff. And then one critical thing was that I went to the book of Nehemiah in the Bible, and I read about how that man made a difference in leadership. And I began to cry. I saw his life, how he transformed this country. As a young person, I was about 19. I began to cry for this country because I couldn't find leaders in Nigeria that would make a difference at that time. And that was what pushed me into floating Gotney. Guardians of the Nation International was floated when I was 19 years old.
Wow.
And it was from there that this gentleman inspired me. And I started meeting the other family. I went in with this institution today. And all I wanted was to raise leaders that would transform this country. I remember, Dele, when I went to Lagos as a student to meet with Mr. Gamaliel Onosode to share my vision of transforming Nigeria as a student. And I remember how the secretary stopped me for days, but I pushed until one day Mr. Onosode said they should give me 5 minutes to meet with him. I walked into Mr. Onosode's office, 5 minutes of meeting with him. The secretary came to take me out. Mr. Onosode said, leave this young man alone. And we ended up spending 2 hours in our first meeting. And I asked him to chair my board. That's how Mr. Onosode accepted to chair the board of Gotney, even as a student organization.
Wow.
He shared it and gave me literally his time. That's when I met with Professor Patutomi and all of those individuals. And throughout my stay at the university, I concentrated in building leaders, and hundreds of thousands of people around my space I started impacting. And I became Student Union Government President.
Wow.
As a result of my impact in the university. That's my story. And remember, all this while, I was still sending money to my mother at home. As a student, doing everything I could to succeed. I sold shirts. I was one of the best dressed students in the university. What was I doing? I would go to this place in Marina. I'll buy shirts and I'll send them to dry cleaner. I'll buy ties and I'll sell them in school, but I'll wear them to make sure I look very good. And throughout my day in school, I wore suits from the first day to the day I left school.
Wow.
In my time in suit. Absolutely. So books became part of me. Suits became part of me. And at the end of the day, setting goals and meeting great people became part of me. And at the end of the day, that's how, when I finished university, I went straight to do my youth service in the National Assembly, Abuja. And that's how I was knocking on doors to teach leadership to honorable members. That's how I became so, that's my story. And if you look at the trajectory, you will see that for the past 25 years, I've never done any other thing else. I've not done contract, nothing. All I have done is investing in the lives of human beings. Even I'll use my school fees money sometimes to organize leadership conferences, to add value to people all the time. I'm finished from university all my life. You remember when I met you, it was still this leadership development journey that led me to meeting you, literally. So all my life. And then, of course, from there, I sponsored myself all through the help of other people. And when I finished with my first degree, I looked for the whole of Nigeria. There was no place, no university that offers leadership as a course. The whole of Africa, no university offers leadership as a course. I had to take advantage of that opportunity when I was nominated by the US government in 2012. The US government nominated me to be part of a team in America, 27 of us, IBLP, from all over the world. It started in 1937. Uncle Dele, can you imagine that a US government in 1937 initiated a leadership program that looks around the world and finds the best minds who can shape the future of their countries, identify them and nominate them. You don't apply, they nominate you. They bring you to America to understudy what makes America work for 1 full month, and they pay for it. That was my first time ever in America, funded by the American government to understudy what makes America work under the IBLP program. And at the end of the day, I realized that in America, there are universities that teach leadership. That's how I went to study organizational leadership at the Regional University as my master's program, paid over $60,000 to be able to attend that program. And at the end of my exposure with that program, I began to do a lot of short courses around the world. So every time my focus was organizing leadership programs and conferences. In a year, hundreds of thousands of people impacted every year. Wow. That's what is leadership deficit. Leadership deficit is the greatest problem facing Nigeria, and I dedicated my entire life that my job will be to galvanize and mobilize a new generation of leaders that will emerge in every sector of the economy. And when that happens, then you will see the kind of transformation that will happen in our great country. And to be very honest with you, today, I want to say gladly that God has been faithful to me, that there is no leadership institution in the world today that I have not had access to. There's no name from John Adair, who is the first professor of leadership in the world, I've not brought to Nigeria. I've brought him 3 times. He has trained me in the UK. There's no name from John Maxwell to Grant Tracy. All of these guys who are the best of the best, I have, by the grace of God, traveled out, sat with them, studied their own systems. And at the end of the day, I realized that our pursuit of the solution of our country being overseas is a big, big problem. I decided to recreate that narrative. That's why that I decided to come into Nigeria and set up a comprehensive leadership center that will make it possible for Nigerians within Nigeria, Africans, West African Hub, can come to Nigeria and study under an institution, run short courses, run leadership courses that it has local content, but at the same time would have a global faculty. So while in class, somebody from Brand Tracy can step into the class and teach a class like he's physically present. That is what we have been able to set up as a result of these exposures around the world. And it was because of that, sir, that one Professor Gregory, the owner of Gregory University, Gregory Ibe, when he saw the effort I put in leadership development in the whole of this country, you know what he said to me? He said to me, Linus, I am going to be the first university in Nigeria that will recognize the work that you have done with leadership development for 25 years. And the Senate of the university voted to give me an honorary doctoral degree for leadership studies based on the work that I've done for 25 years. And November last year, I officially received the award in a highly attended event in the university, right after I had gone to run for governor in Imo State because I wanted to set a model leadership in Imo. So you can see my trajectory. You can see my story. This is where I'm coming from.
Wow. Now, one of the things I've always wanted to ask you is, what are the attributes of a good leader? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Great. You know, first thing first is that for anyone to be a great leader, that individual must have the ability to influence others. For you to have the capacity to influence others as a leader, you must be likable, which means there are certain specific things that you skills that you have. Number one, the ability to be selfless. Selflessness is a leadership strength and value. Ability to be selfless. Number two, ability to be courageous, speaking truth to power. Ability to look at power and speak truth to power. Ability to have a vision, because leaders are visionary people. Ability to look at in the next 20 years, 50 years, what do I become? What would my organization become? So ability to have a vision, ability to be selfless, ability to serve. Leadership is about service. In fact, when somebody knows how to serve, you will know how to lead. Number 6, leadership is about ability to work with other people. Ability to work with other people. So it's not about you, it's about partnerships, about collaboration. It's about ability to be able to bring other people to achieve a common goal. That is why every great leader is a dealer of men. That's a leader has the capacity to mobilize people to get the job done. Every leader is a forward thinker, proactive personality. Leaders are proactive. Every leader is an action person, the ability to take action. That is why in our country today, you find out that there are a lot of people who don't have capacity to take action and they occupy public positions. So they can't execute anything. But leadership is about execution. These are some of the most powerful leadership competencies that is missing currently. And let me even say this to you, sir. There's what we call leadership capital. Leadership capital is the total of all the leadership skills an individual would have as a person over 100. Multiply it over 100, which means, let's say, vision is a characteristic of leadership that is important for everybody to own. How do you even measure that? So you find somebody who occupies a public position, and the individual's vision is 5% over 100. Sir, where can the person take a system, an organization, or a business to? 5%, is it a pass mark or is it a pass mark or not? Now, the reality is that there are a lot of people who occupy positions in this country, sir. They are at 5% vision level over 100.
Wow.
That is dangerous. They occupy ministries. Some of them are governors of states, but their vision level is 5% over 100. So if anybody is dreaming big around their space, what they do is that they shut the person down. You see? So nobody brings any fresh idea within that system because they can't see beyond the circumferential level. You see the point? So leaders are visionary. So imagine if you have leaders who have 90%, 95% type of vision, they will make a difference. They would pursue big ideas. That was the type of vision that inspired somebody like Lee Kuan Yew, for instance. You remember when he was chased out of Malaysia and he was literally crying, but he put himself together and then they built a vision and they had specific things that they wanted to accomplish, and their capacity was to build human capital. How do you transform human capital into wealth? It became a vision. And that's why, if you look at their country, what do? They've set up technical institutions across their country and began to teach their young people future skills of the future that were not existing yet. And they also taught them excellence, what it means to be excellent. So every leader must be excellent. They taught them how excellence is critical for leadership. He would go into toilets to inspect toilets, public toilet. I mean, this type of leader I'm talking to you about. Why did he do that? Because he has set up a vision to say, want to build a nation where human capital will become our wealth. So the vision drove everyone. Everything they did was connected to the vision. That is why where there is no vision, there can't be any progress. So the other element of leadership is honesty, ability to be honest, and ability to have integrity. When they give you resources, public resources, how do you manage that? There are a lot of people who occupy public positions today who, when they give them resources of, the first thing they think is about which one goes to what pockets. At the end of the day, they have 10% in integrity over 100. And how can you have a critical mass of leaders in that format? People who are given to vanity, aggrandizement, and all sorts of things. So at the end of the day, you won't be able to. So we need a new generation of leaders who can think differently with a fresh set of vision, like what is going on in India right now. That, brain drain has become brain gain. People are now, because of the vision that they have set for themselves as a country, what they want to accomplish, people are now traveling, those who went to America many years back and climbed up in the technology institutions and all of that. And they are now going back to their country to do startups of all sorts and are creating wealth with technology because they have risen to the top of their game. But they are thinking home. That's what vision does, sir. So what we need now, the greatest need of Nigeria at the moment is to groom great leaders and leaders for good. To groom a critical mass of good leaders and leaders for good. And it has to be deliberate. It has to be like what America did by spending $160 billion every year to develop their leadership capital. And they spread it through high schools, through university, through all types of grants geared towards leadership development, you see, so that people can grow certain characteristics, certain qualities. You don't wish for leadership qualities. What you do is you deliberately imbibe those qualities in the lives of human beings from when they are children, and then they grow up over time. Because there are three processes to leadership development that I'd like to share with you, sir. First thing first is self-discovery. Self-discovery. Third, because of deficit of leadership capital, amongst those who drive our educational system, what happens literally is that over time, that young people who now want to choose courses they want to study, their parents, most parents will say, you must become a doctor. A son who doesn't have any skill for studying medicine, he must be a doctor. He must be a lawyer. We don't have lawyers in this side, must be a lawyer. So a lot of people are growing in that burden of studying courses that they have no temperament or passion or commitment for. So which means they will struggle in their leadership development. 4 years in the university will be a waste for them, right? Then you have another set of group, those who apply to study medicine, but they couldn't get medicine and they are thrown to do biology or different courses they have no business with. The next 4 years in the university will be a waste, literally. So at the end of the day, you have only very few people, sir, who knew very early that they would become fashion experts. So they started early to develop themselves to be that. And then you have those who want to be, maybe maybe work at any type of other industries or technical or whatever it is, but they started early to find themselves. So they have discovered self and they go into the process of personal development. The rest, they've not developed themselves, they've not found themselves, then they start developing. When you've not found yourself and start developing, you develop in error. That's the problem. So at the end of the day, only very few get to the point of self-mastery. You love journalism, sir. From the time when you started, look at your story. You grew from one level to another. Look at my story. I developed leadership development early. I found it, and I developed over time. Go and watch out in a nation where people develop naturally like that, discover naturally like that. They start early to learn enterprise skills. They start early to learn leadership skills. They start early to learn how to be great leaders. And then they get to mastery point. Mastery point is where what you love to do connects with the great skill that you have built over time. And then you do it effortlessly. And that's why, if you notice, in our public institutions, whether bank or what do you call it, or ministry, a lot of people find it difficult to go to work on a Monday morning. Because they're bored at what they do. They don't love what they do. They're only earning salary to survive. So we have gotten into a survival mode. Over 60-70% of those working for institutions in this country, they are at the level of survival, mood. Most of them are not enjoying what they do. So their productive capacity is low. That's why our consumption capacity is high. And when you have a country where so many people are consuming and are not producing, that becomes problematic. That's the type of situation we find ourselves. Now, in a time like this, one of the things that will give us excitement is that the world is now a global village, sir. The world is now closed. The world is now made it easy for us to say distance is dead. So if distance is dead, sir, what it means literally for us is that our competition is no longer local. Our competition is international. What it means is that this country, Nigeria, is no longer competing with Ghana. This country, Nigeria, is competing with Sweden, is competing with some of the top nations in the world. And the citizens of these countries are also competing with one another. What it means is that the same jobs available for the best guys in Nigeria right now is also available for the guys who came from Harvard and some of the best universities in the world. They are coming back to Nigeria to fight for the jobs that are available right now. So what it means is that for the young people who are in this country, if they want to survive the next onslaught of unemployment, it means that these young people would now have to go in their creative mood and discovery mood, where they will now begin to discover exactly what they were born to do, and then put in energy to develop themselves like leaders, because leaders are dealers in hope. Leaders are in pursuit of knowledge at every point in time. In fact, if you find any leader who is not in pursuit of knowledge, that leader would not succeed in times like this. So therefore, what it means is that the challenge is for leaders to rise. The need for leaders to rise right now, for young people to put effort in themselves to begin to develop their leadership competencies. Once they become visionary, they will no longer see reality anymore. They will see beyond reality. They will no longer see how poor they are. They will see how possible it is for them to come out of poverty. They will begin to network, reach out. They'll begin to push themselves beyond limit. They'll begin to stretching for impact. They begin to drive themselves beyond the normal. This is exactly what I decided to do. When there was a time in this country, nobody believed in anything called leadership development in this country. Everywhere I went to, even including radio stations and television stations, not many of them could accept that there was anything called leadership development, until I found people like John Momodu, who began to encourage to create that information system for people to know that leadership development is something we can do and become better. Today, with Today, with 0 kobo in my pocket, with only my mouth and the grace of God and the work that we have done over time, I am proud to say that we have been able to set up the most comprehensive leadership center in this country. And this center is attracting the very best of the best from around the world, from nothing. What it means is that if I could succeed from a boy who came from a family of 9 in poverty, and I could run for governor at 44, sir, and ran a race like ever. If I could succeed and today have an institution like this, every other young person in this country, they have no excuse not to succeed. All what we need to do as mentors is to begin to create more opportunity for these young people to have access to the leadership education. With the access to leadership education, they can develop their qualities, leadership qualities. They can develop their skills. They can develop success habits. They can develop specific types of networking skills that will now enable them to fight the battle that is required. Because right now, you have to fight much more than ever in order to find yourself a space, or even find yourself in the marketplace, producing, bringing up a product or service in the marketplace. It's a very difficult process.
There is a theory that leaders are born and that they are not groomed. Your postulations tend to disprove this. Is it possible for leaders to be born?
The truth of the matter is that there are 2 schools of thoughts, sir. 2 schools of thoughts. One says leaders are born. The other says leaders can be groomed. But there's a third school of thoughts that says everybody born in the surface of the earth is born by a woman. But the process right now will be taking the people through a process of self-discovery. Is what makes the difference now. When we develop a social system from family to the school system that enables young people to find what they love to do naturally. If they allow the bird to fly, let the fish swim. You see, the bird that is flying, the eagle that is flying at its best element enjoys flight. The fish that is swimming in its best element enjoys swimming. There are some of our young people who are literally not they are what we call introvert. They are introverted. And today they are in jobs where they have to be on the front desk. They don't like to see human beings. They like to see systems. They like to play with systems. They like to play with instruments. They don't like to see human beings. And you put them in a place where they will be seeing human beings. That's why if you go to, engineers, most engineers, were trained to be engineers. And suddenly they started handling management positions. But they have not been trained for management, for managing people. They have been trained before to pursue task. But you see, so if we are able to design our system whereby from very early ages, those who are supposed to be gifted, if you look at our children, some of them, they start very early to show signs. Some of them start early when they see football. They start playing the football. They start loving the football. You see their moves very early. Why don't we develop academies to start helping those young people find themselves even while they are developing those skills? Those who could be good with handwork. Why don't we have 7-star technical institutions in this country, sir? And identify, just like you have the Indian School of, technology, in the Indian School of Technology, right from primary school, a child is already planning to attend the Indian Institute of Technology. He doesn't need to know anybody. It's by merit. If he starts working hard, they prepare him. His parents invest in him to ensure that one day he will enter that school. Because if he enters the Indian Institute of Technology, by the time he gets out, sir, he is already made. Because he becomes the best. So if we have 7-star institutions like that, and everybody follow your path in life, I don't have to be a lawyer. to be successful, sir. The dignity of labor says that, if the job that I do to sweep the street, I can sweep this street so much that at the end of the day, I am the best around this place. I show leadership, and they are giving me awards for doing so. I will gain recognition and scale it up. That's what we're talking about. That's what leadership is about, sir. So what this country has missed, sir, we have missed that process of allowing leadership emerge naturally from, first of all, finding the talents and the giftings of young people, and then training them now in the skill, training them now in the competencies, leadership competencies. So if you're an engineer, they train you how to be a person of honor as an engineer. If you are an engineer, they train you on how to, manage time. If you're an engineer, they train you on how to work with teams, work with other people. So you become a super leader engineer. You become a super, look at the entertainment industry, sir. Look at the entertainment industry. The industry where, you're mapping out your forte. Right now, at the moment, you have a lot of great talent in that industry. But to be very honest with you, most of them are not sustainable over time, because there are certain leadership competencies that they need to be trained in order for them to be able to maximize their talent to become all they could be. So talent is not enough. Development of talent is not enough. Becoming successful and in the public domain, becoming very, celebrated in the public domain is not enough. So what we have done is that we have now created a situation whereby young people in the system are now having role models based on visibility. So that somebody is on television consistently, you now have, he knows how to dance, is enough to attract over 5 million people. And those young people are not thinking about fixing, starting now to become leaders, to transform our country. That's why when you run for president, even though you have material, a lot of people didn't know what you were talking about. They were busy in their little corners partying. We have to arrest those young people again and refocus them on the path of leadership development, plus, maximizing their talent, specific talent. So the guy is a great singer, but he's a great leader. He talks to people respectfully. He knows how to work with other people. You never see him use foul language on anybody. Go to the social media today. What you see on the social media today, most likely, is the fact that we have abandoned a process of a generation. A generation on social media, what are they doing on social media, sir? They are cursing elders on social media on a daily basis. Even when people make mistakes, sir, who are very, very exceptional leaders that make mistakes, they are soldiers wounded in the war front. What they need is to be loved, to help the very best of them, still sustain and continue to do the great work they are doing. But we pull them down and destroy them. A bitter generation, so if you have a bitter generation, what is going to be, we should be scared that if we don't do anything about reinventing our youth population in this country in terms of deliberately pumping in resources, huge billions of dollars in their leadership development process, if we don't budget for them to help them have a vision for their lives, to help them, work in teams, to help them develop a mind leadership that is increasingly becoming very important. You have a lot of young people who commit suicide. You have a lot of young people who will do a lot fighting where they don't need to fight. So what am I saying? So we waste so much time, economic time, doing things that will destroy our country, rather than building a critical mass of people, sir, that will begin to go back to high school, universities, and begin to engage with the student and teach them the proper leadership values that is important to change our country. That is where the future of this country should be focused on at this time.
Okay. I would like to go to a subject that I know is very important to every Nigerian and most Africans. because we seem to have similar challenges across Africa, and that's the challenge of good leadership. What do you think we can do? We all know we hardly have good leaders. We have, once in a while, what I call flashes of inspiration, but they disappear like a comet, you know? So what I want us to talk more about solutions. We all know we don't have leaders. So what can we do apart from training? I'm talking about practical steps now. You contested to be governor.
Okay.
No, you didn't make it. I contested to be president because I was tired of lamenting like Jeremiah. I didn't. I know that what is common to both of us is the fact that, number one, and I told you too when you came from my own based on my experience, that you cannot win from a smaller party. It's almost like being an independent candidate. So if you're going to win, you must join the bigger parties. And by joining the bigger parties, you are likely to also compromise your principles and ideology. So it's a catch-22 situation. What then do we do? Donald is one of the best leaders I have identified. He came to see 2 years ago. He was talking about a third force. I told him, sir, perish the thought. Nigeria is not ready for a third force. So I want practical solutions because we can speak all the grammar. Majority of those who are going to vote, the electorates, they don't know anything about all these theories and all that. So what, as a leadership expert, what then do you think you and I can do to make appreciable progress?
Okay, so first thing first is let me start from what had just happened in those states, right? It is believed that the presidency did not interfere with this process. That's the general belief. And it produced this result that shows that the people's will prevailed. Now, on the part of INEC, we hear INEC adopted some high-level, technology in terms of gathering, the votes in that sense. So what is quick for me is that the greatest gift the president of this country can leave for Nigeria is to ensure that he uses every resources in his disposal to give this country a gift, build all the systems, all the laws that is necessary, all the approvals, whatever that is needed, that there will be a free and fair election in this country. Strengthening the institution of INEC. Police now knows that they will not, their job is to, actually, create peace in the process and do not interfere. If that is the only gift he gives to this country, sir, then we must have made some big progress. But before that will happen, sir, the young people who are in social media will have to take out some of the time they have in social media to push for this type of reforms we're talking about. Imagine if 1 million people write to National Assembly, sir, every day. Write a letter to National Assembly. There's pressure on social media, asking for electoral reform. Everybody putting pressure on their representatives to go to Abuja and ensure that the electoral bill that contains the reforms we're talking about is implemented and signed as quickly as possible. Steps, people are, pushing out letters, our opinions are on the same thing. The pressure that we put on normal things that government, a lot of the people who have destroyed this country will no longer have opportunities to actually participate in the electoral process. That's the first thing. Number two, sir, based on my experience, everybody go and look for the big political parties and join. All the good people, anybody, if you know you're a good person, you love this country, a nation builder, go and join a big political party. I will join one soon. Do you understand what I'm saying? I'm going to join one soon, because when we have a critical mass of good people begin to join those political parties, then we will now begin to, from inside, begin to also contribute our efforts. At some point in time, if we are so passionate, we will overshadow those political parties we think are too big. Only very few people are controlling those parties. Imagine if we go there en masse. That's my experience. In fact, I was in a conference with Tony Blair in the UK in November, and he was talking about, how they brought about the revolution at some point in the Labour Party. And he told me clearly, he said, experience has taught him clearly that small parties do not win elections.
Is it true?
It is established in my thoughts. It is only maybe one or less than 1%, and that is not the normal. So what I've now made is that if you are dissatisfied with Nigerian condition, go and join a political party, PDP, APC, join those parties if you are dissatisfied with the way Nigeria is going. And by the time you know what is happening, we'll build a movement within a movement. And then, because we will now begin to push for, even in the primaries, what normally happens in the primaries is that with the big parties, if you don't interfere, is that they throw up candidates who are almost the same thing. So one is better than the next one. So the difference is not much. But if we're able to do that, then we start beginning to train political leaders. I'm interested in providing leadership training for political leaders within those party structures, within the grassroots structures. In our villages, we have to go back there during Christmas. Everybody should go back to the village and begin to raise consciousness of those young people and begin to invest in their thinking. Because at the end of the day, there must be a connection, sir, with leadership development and prosperity. There must be a connection. That's what we call economics of leadership. Economics of leadership states very powerfully, sir. And in the economic terms, if this demand of a product is high, the price of that product will also increase. And the supply will increase in that sense. Right now, leadership competencies is in low supply. The demand is very high. So any set of people who can beat the gap and push themselves beyond the limit to develop their capacity and competencies, sir, when they come into those political parties, the effort and work they put in committees, in drafting documents, people begin to recognize them. Most of the guys who are really, really bad guys in that sense, they don't have the capacity to go through all the pain to get something really good happen. So you need good guys who can go through delayed gratification in order to stretch and create solutions within those systems. That's what I'm talking to you about, sir. So we need these practical steps in order to, first thing first, we need an electoral law that is top-notch. That is top-notch, that is considered free and fair at any point in time. And then we need to begin to invest in the human beings who run those systems to ensure that they have the right mindsets. And then we need to begin to, get into the big parties. Not when election is close. Not towards election, no. Like right now, let's begin to build a movement now. And in those political parties and begin to get involved. By the time we know what is happening, I can tell you the truth, a lot of people are ready to make things happen. And by 2023, I can tell you if we go in this direction, a lot of things will change in this country.
Great. We had a situation in 2014 whereby Nigerians were supposedly tired of PDP and they wanted a change desperately. But in searching for that change, they made corruption, the issue of corruption, their priority. And they wanted a saint who will come to Nigeria and take away our sins. And that was how we stumbled on Major General Momodu Buhari. But right now, so let me give you a two-pronged question. do you agree that corruption is our biggest problem and that we need a saint to cleanse our sins? Or you think what a nation needs is not a saint, but a performer?
The truth of the matter is that leaders are not perfect. Leaders, there's a mistake people make to think that once you occupy public positions, right, you must be perfect. Leaders do make mistakes, but what differentiates them is that when a leader has a good heart, he has the competencies, he wants to perform, he wants to make a difference. In the journey of making this difference, the leader will obviously make mistakes, but you need a leader who has a heart for the people, willing to sacrifice himself for the people, for progress to happen. Go and look at the life of Nelson Mandela. Was he a perfect man? He wasn't a perfect man, but Nelson Mandela was able to sacrifice so much that people recognize, and that's how he became a global leader. Look at Martin Luther King Jr. Was he a perfect man? No, but he delivered on his passion and commitment to create such an equality in the American system. So what I'm saying is that what we need, we don't need perfect human beings in that sense. We need people who are grew, their souls are moved with love for the common good, for humanity, that they could do, and they have the competencies necessary, and they have the capacity to bring other people who have the competencies, and they will not think that they are insecure. You need secure leaders who have capacity to bring the best of the best minds, put them together in a room, and they are not scared whether those people are better than them. You need leaders like that. So what we need now, sir, is to now groom a critical mass of leaders in all sectors of the economy, so that when you now have a leadership at the center, at the state level too, you have great leaders leading with passion and integrity at those levels. And at the end of the day, what you're going to do is that you're going to create a critical mass of people who are passionate and visionary, and they are selfless, and they want to serve the people. They might make mistakes in that process. They might not be perfect, but at the end of the day, they will make great things happen. Look at the man they call Sam Bakwe. You remember his story? Sam Bakwe was not a perfect man. Every day he was crying for the development of Imo State, and he put his resources, time, energy. Never built many houses for himself, just built one house. And at the end of the day, he built so many roads in Imo. He built so many companies, industries, all sorts. Up to today, sir, everybody in Imo is still quoting Sam Bakwe. When I ran for governor, I had to go to his family house, to Sam Bakwe's family house, to meet with the wife, to seek for his blessing. That's, to ask the wife to bless me and the family to bless me, because of the name he has left behind. That leadership is about legacy. Sir, if leaders can know that this life we're talking about is vanity, that legacy is the pursuit of every leader. If a person does not have a purpose of waking up, sleeping becomes interesting. If a man does not have a purpose of waking up, sleeping becomes interesting. So anybody who is a leader, occupational leader, let me even correct this, sir. It is not all those who occupy public positions, sir, are called leaders. They are operating at the realm of authority. Authority has limited impact. But when they are now selfless leaders and occupy the position of authority, you will see the difference, sir. They will do things that will leave their names in the hearts of men.
Wow.
We need legacy. The greatest gift, my greatest advice to all those in authority today is to remember that in 5 years, sir, so many people will be gone.
Wow.
There will be no more. But what will be the legacy, the names that will be left behind? Abraham Lincoln said, I do not care about who my grandfather was. I only care about who his grandson is going to become. The question is, where you are coming from will not be the issue. We have all made mistakes in the past. Can we say to ourselves today, can Nigerians leaders listen to me today to say we have made enough? Can we as leaders at this point in time say enough of all this? Can we say it is time to work for posterity? It is time to build a name for ourselves. It is time to leave a legacy. When we do that, any institution in this country, look at Mrs. Okorie, when she decided to go to NAFDAC to do all the work she did there selflessly. She was not perfect, but she did everything there passionately. Today, we are still talking about Okorie. She's no more. Life is just what passes us. There are some of your friends that you have lost recently. So, but a few months ago, people were everywhere. So why don't we use an opportunity to change lives? For 25 years of my life, I have dedicated it to this cause. There were times where people were not supporting me. I was using my wife's earning, two of us, we put it together to do leadership development. There was time I sacrificed so much in this country, in the entire of Nigeria. There's no budget for leadership development in this country. How can we grow a skill that is most missed in this country if we don't invest in it? Most people who are successful in this country, sir, who own businesses, who are billionaires and billionaires, how many of them, sir, have invested in young people to say, I want to spend time with 20 young people, invest in their lives, change their lives? How many of us are thinking in that direction? I want 20 young people. So what I'm doing today, sir, is to say, both of us can decide now, sir, to say, in the next 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, that we are going to get 100 successful people in this country, who all they will do is to create a fellowship for 50 young people that they want to train at the leadership center. 50 of them. If each leader in this country that has access to resources, that has opportunities to say, I want to have lived a good life, but I want to invest in 50 young people. I don't know where they come from. I don't know. There's a selection process that makes it possible that a poor boy from Ondo, one village in Ondo, a poor boy from Sokoto, a poor boy from Enugu somewhere, will have the opportunity of being part of that fellowship program. And you have 100 Nigerian successful people who say, I adopt 50 persons each. And my role is to invest in their leadership development, invest in their enterprise capacity, invest in their opportunity to own and make a living, invest in all of that. And at the end of the day, these 50 young people each, we give them a few years. When they succeed, that great man has lived in the hearts of those people and in the multiplication of those that they will impact. That is the only way society can succeed. If you make wealth and the wealth is only for yourself, the wealth is only for your family, you are the most poor resources. But most of the time, I pump it in the training of other young people, thousands of them all over this country. And I have never regretted one day, sir, because I go to the street of London and one young person is hearing I'm in London. They come from, Wales to come and look for me in London to say, Mr. Linus Okorie, thank you for bringing Dr. Miles Monroe to Imo State many years ago. He spoke something about leadership in my life and I gained direction. Today, see where I am. Most times, young people are not asking you for money. They're only asking you for access to knowledge, access to how you made it, access to tell your story, access to helping them become. That's what they're asking for. And if we can create an institutional framework to achieve that, then we're most successful. For me, I am very proud that today in Abuja, we have been able to set up that leadership institution that can Nice that. And with working with somebody like you, I know your passion for this country. I know your passion for young people trying to do stuff. I know how you supported me many years when I was all, trying to rise and things like that. Working together with you, with your networks, we can achieve that deliberate, impactful program that will be like America, the opportunity America gave me. These young people can be given the opportunity and they will be greater and they will be better and will help shape this country. And our children will be living with greater people rather than the kind of mess we are creating at the moment.
One of the greatest nations on earth had benevolent dictatorship.
Yes.
The other. So do you think the reason Nigeria is in this mess is because we have not had visionary, benevolent leaders? We've had dictators in Nigeria, but they have not been as effective as what we saw in Singapore, what we saw in China, and even what we saw in Ghana, very close to us. Apparently, Flight and Jerry John Rawlings had a blueprint, had a master plan of what he wanted to achieve in Ghana. When the guy struck the first time, and then they had to strike it second time because they believed they did not achieve anything with the first strike. But in Nigeria, we've had so many dictators and we never got to our El Dorado. Do you think the absence of that benevolent dictator is what is affecting us today? Our leaders came, they had no blueprint, no master plan. Everybody was just doing his own thing. They balkanized the nation, bastardized. So, good leader. Let's assume now that Buhari tensions and he was a saint before he came back. But he needed the backing of bad people to win election. A good man in Nigeria cannot win election without bad people. So once you are supported by bad people, then you're already compromised. So how do we get out of this jam?
Sir, the only way to get out of this is when the leader becomes visionary, sir. And the leader driving force is the common good. And the leader decides to say there is going to be merit system. It doesn't matter who. That we're going to do things right. Institutions must work. If a leader stays, is more of the courage to execute what is right. The courage to execute. I had an honor of hosting Professor John Adair. John Adair happens to be the first professor of leadership in the world. And he is from, Surrey. I hosted him in Nigeria for the first time a few years ago. And while I picked him up at the airport, it was the height of Boko Haram in this country. But I asked him a single question. I said, sir, you knew there was Boko Haram attacks in this country. They just attacked Abuja. And yet you still decided to come to Nigeria. He looked at me in the face and said, remember, he was on a wheelchair in his 70s at that time. And he said to me, Linus, leaders must be courageous. Sir, Akmatum Sr. of United Arab Emirates, who was the father of the present ruler of Dubai, when he realized that they had little oil, just little, and they made some small amount of money with that, he decided to do things he could see in the future, despite of the opposition of some of his critical henchmen. He decided to build a seaport in the desert. That wasn't popular. He decided to get into Emirates business, buying how many flights in one day. That wasn't, he wanted a country that will trade, be a trade center, would have tourism in high level and great level of investment. He wanted a nation that would make money in this aspect. And they set up the machinery and they began to gather money and execute. The secret is executing boldly, bold execution. And in that bold execution, sir, like the railway thing going on in Nigeria right now, no matter how imperfect anybody think that is, that's bold, right? Those type of bold ideas. So I rather would say borrow money, right? And execute the infrastructure with aggressiveness that is tangible and feelable. Don't borrow for people to steal and put in their pockets. Borrow to invest in things that can multiply our capacity to be an investment destination. That's leadership. That's what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about here is that people must begin to rise and make. It doesn't matter if you do not qualify for the job, you do not qualify for the job. It doesn't matter where you are from. When we remove all of those from our system, and we know that it is a great country that is for everybody, whether poor or rich, then we will begin to now grow our human capital to think like that. Our thinking, sir, our thinking capacity in this country, for majority of the people, is low, poor. And you don't achieve greatness with that type of mentality. You can't compete with the world. There's a speed of progress. There's a race of nations going on right now. Countries are speeding. So anybody wants to make progress must, if you're a governor, you want to develop even outside this system, you have the capacity to grow an economy that will be respected by the world. As a state, bold imaginations are in. So there's a gentleman called Hermote. Hermote was one of the guys, was a guy that in Eastern Germany many years ago was given an opportunity to privatize 700 government-owned companies. He had 32 staff, and they asked him to, privatize that 1 or 2 per day. When he succeeded in the assignment, he was asked, "How did you make this happen?" He said, "There are no models. There are no models. We will not compete with America. We will not compete with any other country in the world. Nigeria must find its own model. Its own model is to ensure that every Nigerian must have a right to earn a living wage, must have the right to live in a comfortable place. Every Nigerian must have a right to be human, to be treated with dignity. Every institution in Nigeria must work." That is the bold agenda. It requires a lot of people coming together with a mindset that is a winning mentality rather than a mentality that is grabbing, grab. A grabbing mentality doesn't have any capacity to think. So you have a lot of people in power with no capacity to think. So what they do is grabbing. So if you have a grabbing mentality, how can you think? So what I'm proposing is that we must now grow a generation of people that will be visionary in their nature. Their mind leadership will be so sound that what comes out of their mind is how can we correct our system. People think that criticizing government, sir, criticizing government is an achievement. Criticizing government is not an achievement. Criticizing government is not what makes you better. But how do you sit down instead of criticizing all the time? How do you sit down and create solutions that you market a solution that those in power can actually catch and say, "Wow, what an idea," and then they take it on. Is there any way we can begin to lobby our leaders to be great leaders? The lobby process, and developing a concept called the lobby process for leadership development. What that means is that those of us who are close to power, we not develop the boldness when we are with power to speak truth to power, to say to power, you could do this differently and things like that. That rather than the culture that is destroying this country where people have access to power. You are sitting with a governor, and the next thing is, "Oh, you are doing well." Everybody is talking about how great you are. Everybody is doing that. But meanwhile, you can actually speak truth to power and say, "Do this is my idea. I come to you with this idea. This is workable." They might not listen for the first time, but if you stay around them, keep pushing it, and then by the time you know what is happening, the guide might keep changing. The process is that we must start afresh, sir, to build a new generation of leaders. And that's why I believe the greatest achievement so far for me this year is setting up this Godly Leadership Center. And I want to thank all the partners that made it happen. Making this leadership center work, oh my God. Just a few hours ago, the law students, the National Association of Law Students, their leadership visited this office here, sir. They came to pay me a visit. They just had their election, the new leadership, and they came to tell me their readiness to transform, to be exemplary leaders in this country. And by the time they left here, I had pumped some leadership models in their heads. And they are living with so much fire to make a difference. And they are planning a bigger one for me to talk to all of their students all over the country. Imagine, sir, if this is the routine. Imagine how this country will transform. We don't invest in the things we need to invest in. We think infrastructure investment is all we need. No, we need infrastructure investment, but we also need investment in human beings. We must teach our young people how to be leaders. And that's where universities come in to create GST courses on leadership. And it's strategic. And there's a budget around it, and it works. Nations that have made progress, there have been nations that have invested heavily in their leadership capital. And they started investing not today, but 50 years ago, 60 years ago, 30 years ago, and today they are benefiting from that investment. That's the type of investment we must make in this country. Otherwise, at the end of the day, we will grow people who would only aspire to occupy position, but will show little leadership.
Wow. Now, there is, before I continue, there is someone I need to appeal to. Mr. Official JD80, please, you are harassing us on my platform. Can you kindly calm down? If you don't want to listen, feel free to quit. Otherwise, I may be forced to block you, and I don't want to do that because I believe you can benefit from this. Please, you've expressed yourself. Nigeria is dead, Nigeria is this, Nigeria is that. That's fine. It's freedom of expression, but you are really harassing us on this platform. Thank you so much. Yes, I was going to say there are people who believe that, look, the Nigerian experiment is dead. We are second-class citizens in our own country. We must break up. Nigeria will never work. I personally don't subscribe to that. A lot of my friends disagree with me. I believe there is hope for Nigeria. Those harassing Nigeria are not up to 2,000 in a country of 200 million. Just about two. If they cannot even be up to 1,000 people, those who are holding Nigeria by the jugular. So what do we do? Because those who say we want Biafra, when you get Biafra, you are still going to have problem between Imo and Anambra, problem between Anambra and Abia, Ebonyi, and all of that. If the Yorubas break up, they are still going to have Ifemudakeke, hanging around somewhere. You still have Ibadan and Oyo, or Oyo and Ogbomoso. So, how many countries are we going to break into? China is huge. India is huge. They are managing their differences. They all have the same challenges. So what is the problem with managing our own? Do you think it is right for us to give up and just break up and go our different ways?
Okay, so the truth of the matter is that historically, every of this race or this tribe that are coming to ask for the opportunity for them to leave Nigeria, most of them, they are paid, failed promises, and all sorts of things, especially where I even come from, the Igbo race. I've sat with them, I've listened to a lot of their conversations, and it is deep. Most people are hurt. It's deep down there, right? But if we think that the way to address it is to clamp down, we miss the point. Addressing it is not to clamp down. Addressing it most of the time is to begin to really, find a common ground for some basic discussion and conversations to happen. And the truth of the matter is that, if all the groups are allowed to go their separate ways, it's not as if that they would be very successful in that sense, because some of the leadership deficits, thing that is happening in the bigger nation is also applicable to these smaller entities. But all I am saying basically is that, we must continue to build a country that is going to work for everybody, not for any group. Once there's a sense of justice, there's a sense of merit, there's a sense of commitment to the common good, everybody thinks that, I am benefiting from, what my father owns. What happens is that would have a way of inspiring all of these groups to begin to connect to the country called Nigeria. I give you an instance. I had a conversation with somebody who said, I don't believe in Nigeria. And I asked the person why. The person told me. But by the time the person attended the leadership program I organized, the person became a great lover of Nigeria, because the person now sees himself as one of those that will fix the country. Do you know what I'm talking about? So I want us to realize that the reality, the pains these people are facing is there. But we have to find a way of addressing it without necessarily clamping down on them. We must find a super way of doing that. And I tell you the truth, if we get it right in that way, we have to sit and think, how do we get these people to the table to be able to have this conversation that we are free to have? If we're able to do that, great. But let me also tell you that there are some people that are pursuing that agenda, not that they love the Igbo race in that sense, but they are pursuing it for their own private gains. There are people like that. There are also people pursuing Oduduwa, not because they like Oduduwa, but because of their own personal interests, and all other tribes at the same time. But to build a nation is possible if we can begin to now change the orientation of the people and invest in the prosperity of the people. For me, it is most important. The people should be invested upon to have an opportunity to benefit from a nation that works for everybody, not for a few. That is a very great way. And that's why we're talking about merit system. I always stand on merit, on a sense of justice. That is the only way our country can be a great super country.
Wow. Okay. It's a shame that a lot of our young ones who scream that they want Nigeria to change, they want the old leaders to go away, they are not even interested in this subject. How does that make you feel? Does it not discourage you when you see?
I'm used to it, for many years. For many years, I've discovered that the subject matter that interests young people, and most of the time you can't even blame them. You can't even blame them because of the fact that, we have not put them in a process, right, where a lot of them will understand what we're talking about. Most of these young people don't have mentors. I'm telling you, sir, most of these young people don't have, their parents don't even give them attention. Most of these young people are on their own. They are trying to survive on their own. So what we must do is to create a system where we have to reach them where they are. We have to find a way to reach them where they are. And we have to be able to get them into that trap, call it a trap, where they can even sit and listen. Because at the end of the day, sir, most of those young people, they're not interested in this country they like fun. But you must change the narrative for them. And that's why some of us are being creative and innovative and finding fresher ways of, mixing entertainment and leadership. That's one of the ways that, we can be able to do that. Now begin to think about comedy shows that will bring in some little leadership in it. You know what I mean? Some music shows that will bring a little bit of that. You have to find some excellent, music.
We've been in this game for a long time. I joined the struggle as a student at the University of Ife in 1978. And instead of things improving, it keeps getting worse. And now I can see that we are all distracted. Unless I post, a lot of people wonder, why is my Instagram handle called Dele Momodu Ovation? Because I know that if it's just Dele Momodu, it might not attract attention, but people know that Ovation is about entertainment and
yes. Yes.
I need to feed them daily, even to get a little attraction and attention. I need to feed them daily with entertainment, with things that then you thousands immediately. But the moment it's serious such as this, I expect that we will have 10,000 people watching this. But no, but let me put Bobrisky now or your lady, Tonto DK, entertainment. But in our time, we combined entertainment effectively with serious issues. And I don't know how we are going to be able to attract them back to see.
We really have to do that, sir. Take for instance, King Tonto attended the leadership program here, right? And spent about 4 days. In 4 days, the amazing growth was unbelievable. And, right as I'm talking to you, she is already impacting other systems in a very positive way that is unimaginable. But this is 4 days. So imagine if you can select, young people in those types of systems, and pull them into an institution like this. By the time you go the second day, the narrative will change. All I'm saying is that we have to be able to put them in that room. That's why I said the fellowship helps. So if you're doing an entertainment fellowship, whatever it is, but it helps to get those young people involved, catch them in their small numbers and bring them in. Once you do that over a period of time, you can influence and change them completely. I've seen many transform. I've seen many who didn't believe in this country transform over time. I've seen some of them who go to NYC camps. Those NYC camps, you have both those who, because it's compulsory, that they will all listen. You walk into that, and they hear certain things they never heard before. I've seen many of them transform. It's their responsibility to make it happen.
Okay, I have some people watching from Facebook. And, okay, good evening, my dear friend, Bosedi Hindero. Dele, how are you? Good evening. Now, I'm reading something from Gloria Shuaibu. She says, I'd like to suggest that to carry the youth along, kindly bring some young musicians. I'm sorry, I will answer that because it's something, forget it. Nigeria is a place where our artists, most of them are not even interested in Nigeria. I've made it, I'm making money, so I'm okay. I don't need to get involved. I don't want government trouble. I remember some people attacking Davido for support PDP. I said, what is wrong with it? I mean, he's using his influence to support a party that he believes in, and people were fighting him. If we had all our artists support one party or the other, Nigeria would be a better place. Because you have the voice, you have the influence to get things done. When Two-Face tried to organize, a demonstration, people were abusing him. Oh, who is he? What did he? Until he abandoned the thing. So, but the thing that we can't give up. So what I'm trying to say now is that our artists must be ready for the backlash. People abuse me every day on social media. It doesn't bother me.
Yes,
When
yes, it doesn't.
Why? Because, and I know I have better language than you. So you attack me. There is a boy now who was making noise here now. I pleaded with him. Now he has calmed down. So that's the thing. So, and if you don't calm down, you have the press button, you block. So we must come out powerfully and save this country. Because no matter how big a musician you are, Nigeria will still affect you one way or the other. So if you want to survive in Nigeria, you must work for a better Nigeria. Yes, please go on, sir.
Sir, can Ovation and Godly Leadership Center host 50 top celebrities in the Leadership Center for 2 days? Oh. And first, that's what we can do. First of all, we select them, they will be top-notch ones. They come in, we influence their thinking, then they will be the ones adding value to the rest of the other people. I trust that works.
They will come. You see, it's a long story. I have tried all sorts. I still don't know how and why I have not given up totally on the Nigerian project. Because you talk to people, the next thing you are going to hear, oh, you want me to come to Abuja? How much are you paying? I do a charity work every December, whereby minimum we create new 5 millionaire entrepreneurs. And you will not believe it. When last year I tried to call an artist that this is the charity work, I don't charge gate takings, I'm not taking any money from. They said pay 15 million or nothing. And who were people that we also helped while growing up. They will acknowledge it when they are still growing up, but once they cross, then you can't even reach them. They will go and talk to my management. So I don't know what we are going to do about it. I saw how some people came together in America to influence the emergence and success of Obama. Imagine the Kennedys did not have the Oprah Winfreys and all those people. There is no way they would have made it. So imagine with our popularity, the first thing you need in politics is visibility. You are visible, but you cannot win elections. So what is the point?
So we will continue to reach out to those young people, especially in their schools, in the universities. We will reach out to them. That's where they are. And once we begin to catch a critical mass of them, we will change the narrative. So the investment is the resources to reach out to them where they are. We have to reach out to the young people. And most of them, I've seen them transform over time.
It's okay, let's go to specifics now. I want your opinion. And I don't want you to be diplomatic or you are trying to be political. What do you think is the problem? I'll start from now and go backwards. What is the problem with the Buhari government? Why do you think they are not as effective as they should be?
So
government, so that they won't say acting an individual. So the Buhari government.
So the basic one of the things that I think is the basic challenge is the fact that the team, they seem not to be working together. I don't see a lot of catching up with a vision. It's like, I see some waste as well, like in the way things are executed. You know what I mean? Sometimes projects are executed over time and you see some waste, around it. So for me, those are the specific things that I see. I don't see a lot of passion. That's the word. I don't see a lot of passion. We need a lot of passion in the pursuit, of the common good. The other element is the fact that, a lot of people do not believe that the what they call it, the government is, fair to all. That's and when you have an issue like that, it impacts on the followership, critically in that sense. So once they're able to fix that, whereby they regain back the narrative, to say this country belongs to everybody and everybody has the opportunity to grow and, have opportunity to serve in whatever capacity at different levels of government, based on merit. that will be the type of narrative that will work. It's type of actions that will begin to change the support system for the government.
I know that as a leadership coach, you tend to be too optimistic about life. But I think in Nigeria, pessimism is very tempting because we've tried all sorts and nothing seems to be working really once. Why do you think it is just as simple as that? I don't seem to agree with you that the analysis is just simply, and I will tell you why. The division in Nigeria today, it's obvious that every time you have a leader in Nigeria, he's more interested in where he comes from and not Nigeria. A president of Nigeria should be the father of the nation, should be the father of all. So how do you change that mindset to let them know that you have only 4, maximum 8 years to develop a country? But if all you are doing is to bring everything to your own area of the country and to your own people, then the country will never develop.
Remember what I said from the beginning, must act with a sense of justice and merit. Remember I said this. Justice and merit means that when an Igbo man deserves to be a director general of a plumb institution in this country, don't stop him from being that. Do you get what I'm saying? Let the best mind occupy the best positions. So when that begins to happen that way, the narrative will change. That's what I'm saying. The narrative currently is getting to what you have just said about the fact that, the country is going towards some tribalism, a high sense of tribalism. That's the narrative. And if this narrative must change, there must be a lot of actions that will require, a change in the new appointments, open up the space and let, more people from other parts of the country occupy those positions. It helps to change the narrative. No, that's the truth of the matter.
A leader with the proclivity for dividing his people, how do you change that? What do you tell such a leader? How do you make the mistake he's making?
Every day I'm on television, I'm advising the government systems, and I've also advised the president severally that the best thing that can happen in this country is when we elevate performance above where somebody comes from. If somebody is from your area is not performing, remove the person and bring in somebody who can perform. It's as simple as that. That's a sense of justice. Every leader needs that sense of justice and merit. And that's where the federal character system now becomes a huge challenge, because someone like me, I believe that for this country to be great, you must make sure that quality people, whether they are from the north or from the west or from the east, that when they merit a position, give it to them. But because of the nature of Nigeria, where people now think that we are from different places, our history is already filled with suspicion. People suspect you in everything that you do. So why don't you now make federal character effective in that sense? Because in Imo, in the southeast, there are a lot of quality people there too. In the north, there are a lot of quality people there too. In the southwest, a lot of people. So why don't you balance the equation so that people don't feel cheated? When people feel cheated, they lose interest in the federation. They lose interest in the nation. So as a leadership coach, my advice is, for the government to open up the system and let, there be balance, a sense of balance in appointments, and let those who are worthy of appointment receive those appointments, also based on the fact that they are qualified to do so. For me, that's where I stand on this issue. Anytime, any day, a sense of justice, a sense of merit will make a big difference, in our great country. In fact, if you ask me, running Nigeria in the future, the sense of merit will be our greatest gift. Sense of merit, sense of justice. So I am doing this. I'm not partial. It doesn't matter whether you're my brother. If you commit an offense, go for it. You understand what I'm saying? And I gave you an example of what happened in Edo yesterday. I mean, in Edo politics through the weekend. And for many years, we felt the election was free and fair because we didn't see interference in government institutions. The army did not interfere, the police did not interfere, and at the end of the day, the results were delivered the way it was supposed to be. Everybody is praising the president for not interfering. Do you know what I'm talking about? So that is exactly what I'm talking about. And I wish that sort of thing continues over a period of time when decisions will be based on merit, performance, and a sense of justice.
A few days ago, I was interviewed on the Edo State election by Arise News Channel. And one of the ladies who interviewed me described me as a politician, amongst other things. And I explained to her that, no, I'm a part-time politician. Do you think it would help if our politicians become part-time instead of making politics their permanent vocation?
Somebody the other day asked me, they were saying, where is Mr. Linus Okorie? That elections are over now and they don't see him. So somebody responded to say, Mr. Linus Okorie is very busy. He has a job. He is very busy, pursuing his dreams and getting things done. So if you have politicians who don't have, certain skills or who do not have certain jobs they do for a living, at the end of the day, most of those politicians are the ones who will do anything to stay in power because they would not want the meat to be removed from their mouth because they can't survive outside politics. Why would you not? In fact, one of the reasons for you to even serve is that you have accomplished in a particular area of life based on those experiences and competencies you can now bring to serve the system. If you have not shown capacity or example or a model of success you have had in a particular area of life, how can you contribute to the greatness of a particular system? So a lot of people who are in politics, some of them don't have any job. They are doing, the job they do is gossip. The job they do is, praise singing. The job they do is psychophancy. And those things are the things that destroy our political system in its entirety. So we must raise professionals, leaders who are competent, who have shown model of success in a particular area they have been involved with before. You have become successful in media. Some other people have become successful. Professor Patutomi has become successful in his own area. All of these people who have shown success in a particular area, when they come into the political space, they will do what is right. You understand what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, if you say they should leave, they will leave and go back to what they were doing before. But if there's no hope of opportunity to leave government and survive outside government, people will say, I'd rather die here than do something else. And because of that, they will compromise every way possible to make sure that they just, continue to praise the leaders who are not doing what is proper. But they won't have the capacity to speak truth to power. I was brought into Joha's transition committee. And when I was brought in there, I said my mind at every point in time the way I wanted to say it. So if at the end of the day, they didn't listen to me, what I'll do is I pack my bag and then I'll go back to where I come from. That's exactly the type of thing we're talking about. And that's why it's important for us to create jobs for young people. That's why we must create opportunities for young people to earn a living wage. In the grassroots, we must create opportunity for young people to have skills that they will earn a living wage with their skills. That's why we must create opportunity for young people to have opportunity to own businesses, because there's a government support system around that. Because if these young people own businesses and they are doing well, most of them will not be thugs. Most of them will not come, to fight and do anything else. Because those who are working in banks, they don't have time to go and be anybody's thugs. You see what I'm making, the point I'm making? So that is why unemployment is also something that impacts negatively on our political process. Whether unemployment or underemployed, somebody who's underemployed, who is not, earning enough, will, make politics part of his sustenance. And, I participated in politics at the local level, and you see somebody who doesn't have a job, and he wears a South, decent South, and he comes to you to tell you how he has 5,000 followers, who are right there waiting. In fact, they have decided to choose you. You are the best candidate ever. In fact, they have just voted in their Congress that you are the person. And all after he makes all those speeches, as he's about to leave, he's waiting for you to give him transport money. How does that work? So these are the things we're talking about. So any system of transforming Nigeria, we must create opportunities for young people to have opportunities for jobs. That's why sometimes there are some policies government make that I marvel. Take, for instance, the issue about 100 something billion that is supposed to be for distribution in the local level for 3 months, right?
The palliative.
Yes, the palliative. I would have suggested that you set up 7-star skills development institutions, 7-star, not 5-star, and identify certain skills that are missing in the industries, in the oil and gas, in mining. Mining is even of the future. And I'm even happy that government is investing in mining right now. I'm talking to you about, investing in those critical skills that are needed. And these 5-star institutions, pump those monies in there. You will be shocked that you would develop thousands of young people with skills. You can export them to other African countries. Just like, we're having those guys who are, provide tilers, for instance. We get them from Togo and they come to Nigeria and we pay so much money in that process. We can develop such skills in a high-level 7-star manner and invest them. Send those young people, export them to other countries, and they will bring, foreign exchange. It's about, those types of quality, big vision that I think will work much more. And like I said, in rail, they are doing well with that. You know what I mean? They are, then why don't they continue with other areas of life as well? For me, I'll be very excited with that.
A lot of people don't know why I am so much in love with the former president of Ghana, John Dramani Mahama. Living partly in Ghana taught me a few things about leadership. This man, within his first term, was able to build new hospitals, build a new international airport terminal, build roads. But the most important thing he did, in my view, was upgrading vocational education in Ghana.
Yes.
Why do people go to university to read courses that will never fetch them jobs? Yeah. So I see too many skills in Nigeria. There is no skill you want that you will not find in Nigeria. And Nigerians are among the most hard-working human beings on earth. At 12 midnight, go to Maryland in Lagos, you see people still selling recharge cards. If all these skills are trained, they will be more employable. But nobody is doing anything. Nobody is doing anything about it. And so, I have 1,000,001 questions for you, but you won't believe it. It's exactly 2 hours since we started.
Are you serious?
So, 1.5 hours. Thanks to Instagram, I'm allowed to do 4 straight hours, but we won't do that much. I will try and cut it short. But I needed us to learn from our past, because history is very important. And if we don't know our history, we may not know why we faltered and what we need to do to stand up again. Before Buhari, we had President Jonathan. What are the lessons you learned from his government, and especially the collapse of PDP?
To be very honest with you, the President Jonathan was weak in my own sense in executing decisions. That was something that I saw, was happening. Impunity also in the political party at that time was also part of the day as well. But the only thing is that, he would not clamp on you, if, people were allowed, to, say whatever they wanted to say, at that point in time. So for me, is that, and also the fact that he deliberately allowed power to go, which pained a lot of the political leaders at that time, because most of them were not ready to go. Most of them were ready to, even shed blood, for power. But the president had the wisdom and the grace to be able to, accept. I remember that day I was in Abuja, and I was concerned. I went to see one of my friends from the north, and we sat down and we began to review things. And I said to him that if I have President Jonathan's number, I would ask him, to please, surrender power at that point in time. And guess what? That was exactly what he did in a few minutes. And I was very calm because Abuja was charged up with what I saw with my eyes. So for him to do that was at a high level of, responsibility. And, I also think that, that peaceful nature, at some point in time, people took advantage of that. And a lot of people within his government, had no fear for, when you say somebody had no respect in that sense, for the presidency, maybe because of the fact that his decision-making process is different. He was considered, peaceful, unlike, this present regime, who at the time the president came into power, a lot of people were already afraid, very, very afraid, because they will know that he's a no-nonsense person, that if you report something to him that is considered wrong, he will act immediately and he would act aggressively. But after over a period of time, I think that has disappeared. I no longer see that quantum of fear as it was, in the beginning, that type of stuff. So, and I think that, following, both of them, each one came with their own, characteristics, but at the end of the day, one of the things that was missing for both of them and still missing up to today is the ability to communicate. And the two of them had their different styles of communication. The current president will rather, communicate through a third party. You know what I'm talking about? That is his own style. But the other, president, even though he's communicating, all the time, but most of the time it was difficult for people to even follow through, about his policy direction in that sense. So those were some of the, major differences, I see in the both administration. But what I would like to say here is that, I think that the ability to, a lot of people had more access to advice, President Jonathan. A lot of people have more access to, advise President Jonathan in that sense. They could assess him and, advise him. I don't know whether it's the same, with this. So leaders must continually, in my own context, do things for the common good at every point in time to be able to help us. And meanwhile, I will be very glad, that we can move a little bit, to talk about some of the center and some of the things that are immediately, available for the benefit of the people.
Yes, we will come to it. Do you agree with the school of thought that Nigerians were too much in a hurry to sack President Jonathan? That maybe if they had allowed him a second term, he would have been able to perform better? Because towards the end, towards the election, we saw him doing so many things in a hurry, but it was too late.
No, but to be very honest, to be very honest, at that point in time, the mood of the nation at that point in time didn't want a Jonathan presidency. At that point in time, the APC as a political party were able to sell the vision of President Buhari as the man. You know what I mean? Clean. The man who brings something new, to the system. He's a no-nonsense man. And, because of the level of corruption that was going on, we're hearing about that time, this man was coming to clean up the system. And a lot of people who supported him at that point in time did that, with the mindset of this is a new player that will make things happen differently. That was the mood of the nation at that point in time. I don't think there was anything that would have happened that would have gotten President Jonathan re-elected again at that time, because there were a lot of, things happening. In fact, professionals were mobilized. A lot of people, professionals of all classes, everybody were mobilized into that vision. Most people who did that for love for nation. Most people who supported, President Buhari at that time did that for love for nation, not for any personal aggrandizement in that sense. Because he didn't have a lot of capacity at that time to give anybody anything. People saw that, this man could save Nigeria, at that point in time, and everybody went in to support, So if there was anybody who supported him at that point in time, people could say, we did that for love of nation. So they take responsibility. That's my thought.
Talking about moods, do you think the mood in Nigeria today is that of regret and remorse that they removed?
Is that what?
Do you think the mood in Nigeria today is that of remorse and regret that they removed a Jonathan for a Buhari? Do you feel that?
Yes. Yes, the public opinion states that clearly. A lot of people, some people have even come out publicly to say, they were wrong, with their decision, at that point in time. But one of the things, yes, absolutely. But one of the things that I want to make very clear, is that already the president he has 3 more years to go. You know what I mean? And so right now, one of the things I would advise a lot of, the political leaders, to rally around at this point in time and see people should not give up. People should not give up. That giving up syndrome of good people, quality people who love him as a person, who love the president as a person, it means that once you get out and give up, it gives, people with the wrong motive, a lot of them to cluster in, on the president. And the more he's criticized, the more wrong decisions we made. So I would rather want people to, begin to think from another positive side. How can we help, this man to succeed and be the best president he can ever be? And then if there are any ideas, we continue to pop it in. Because at the end of the day, if we criticize from tomorrow till the next day, if it's not constructive, if it is not, pulled towards a strategic, a buy-in of solutions that can help the system, at the end of the day, it might not make any sense. That's my thoughts. Because, sometimes people are so disappointed that they are in a state of inaction. So many people are like that. They are just frustrated, and then their sense of contribution to the system dies with that, frustration. That's what we have seen so far. And then they go to the extreme, we still have 3 years to go. For people to move to that extreme, it means that the energy to even succeed will be difficult. So I rather would, for us, even our narrative, the way we look at the country as we are building a nation. Can we begin to say, we will get it right in this country? We're going to speak some positive words instead, and then strategically make suggestions that can help. That's my own thought. And that's why people normally will say, as a leadership coach, you don't like to criticize government. For me, my job is to groom leaders. My job is not to criticize in that sense. If I have access to somebody I can criticize, I would rather, in the private space where that person is, I can share my thoughts, with that individual the best way that I can. And most leaders around the world, that's what they do. Great leaders will bring people who speak truth to them. They rather will bring people who speak truth to them closer than those who praise them. Any leader that wants to succeed must learn how to handle criticism, must learn how, to bring people who speak truth to them closer than they attack them. Those are, for me, my thoughts. I wish we could be able to do that in this country, where instead of attacking somebody who criticizes you, if somebody criticizes you, you want to find out, why. You want to bring, especially if somebody that has loved you before, you want to find out why, what is going on. Is anything am I not doing right? Sometimes leaders must engage that way.
Fantastic. You said earlier on that leadership is about performance and all that, and that leaders are not perfect.
Yes,
so
yes.
All our imperfections, who amongst our leaders do you think came close to getting things right? If you look at, let's say this republic, let's forget about the military now. Let's say Obasanjo, Yaradua, Jonathan, who do you think came?
Yeah, for me, President, or Obasanjo, in all his imperfection, he has that strength to, bully, to mobilize very great hands, and give them the space, to operate, and also supported them when they needed, support. You know what I mean? That's part of, leadership, ability to be able to identify specific things and hit on it and get it done. And then get the right people. It doesn't matter where you could bring them from. Once they have, you believe that they can get the job done. And if you remember, that's when a lot of stars, emerge in Nigeria. Quite a few of those, stars emerge because of that, stubbornness to get things done. And then you also had, President Yaradua, who also had, apart from the sickness and the weakness at some point, he also has his own way, of actually getting things done, literally. So those are very, powerful people. And to be very honest, this president that is serving today, if he gets some things right? If he does those things right, he might also be one of those presidents that, people would like to say he did a great job.
Like what? I want you to be specific, sir. Like what?
No, for instance, if for instance, he looks into this issue that if everybody in the country is saying that there is tribalism going on, if everybody is saying that, do you get what I mean? The ability to simply maybe just listen and see what these people are saying makes sense. If what they are saying makes sense, and they go back to your policy, framework and, identify some changes quickly. You know what I'm talking about? When you do those, it might not, by the time you do one or two specific actions, for instance, you will be shocked at the level of, excitement, you know what I mean, that, people, bring on board. Just ability to be able to, take some of those narrative coming in as a plus to your administration. And it doesn't, people are criticizing, it doesn't mean that they don't like you. They are probably disappointed that they expected more. You know what I mean? And, they're not getting those expectations met. But if you can listen to them and you have those within those systems, that can speak truth to them the way it is, I believe that there'll be a lot of difference. And for me, I think that, he would, get much more better. And if he can also, focus a lot more on strategic investment of resources, a lot of resources, I think, you know what I mean, being wasted, in my own word, you know what I mean? If those resources can be applied into, investment in my own thing is that major 7-star, institutions, vocational institutions that can teach instead of, distributing them, as palliatives, in that sense. They can be invested in something tangible that young people can go through those international experiences and exposure, and they gain skill for life that will earn them a living wage. So they will not come after 3 months They will not come after 3 months and they are, asking, for money. They are asking for, money, but they can earn a living wage. But the institution remains forever and continues to churn out, great leaders in that sense. If he does that, for me to be a good one. And one great thing he did, to be very honest, that I said on national television that this president did well, was when he committed 75 billion to the Ministry of Youth Development, for advancing the causes of young people. I praise that personally, because this is now going to be institutionalized in such a way that young people have an opportunity to get the ideas supported by government. Just like what Tony Lumelu is doing as a private individual. Now government under the Ministry of Youth Development now has a system to be able to make that happen. That sort of thing will inspire me more. You know what I mean? And now the boldness to do. Yes.
I said President Jonathan also did that.
Well, which one is that?
Youth empowerment. You are talking about
directly to improving young people's economy. I tell you the truth, young people are excited. They get excited and they are happy. You know what I mean? They have measure. It creates room for people to siphon some of those monies, without government knowledge, in my own thinking. So I want institutional, support in a huge way that can create sustainability over a period of time.
Yes, I agree with you that for me, I don't see Buhari achieving much in the next 3 years in terms of infrastructure development and all that. But I believe also in the unification of Nigeria. If God can enter his heart and he changes his way of
an electoral process.
The electoral process, you see, absence of love is what makes people to rig election. When there is genuine unity, you will stop rigging election, because then you will feel guilty that you are stealing what does not belong to you. The first thing, the reason why people steal those things is because they want the thing to come to themselves. It's an act of selfishness to steal. I believe that stealing election is worse than even financial corruption. So for me, I don't know who is watching us, but whosoever is close to him and can reach him, my advice is, I don't care even if he doesn't do anything else in the next 3 years. If he can unify Nigeria, he will be one of the greatest leaders. Because what is going on at the moment is like slavery, it's like slave trade. And that is why that's why people are being killed every day, because people are frustrated. You see able-bodied people, intelligent people, and they see their mates who have not gone to school, who have not done anything, but just because they have a godfather or they have someone, then they are making billions and they are wasting it away. People will get desperate. So we need our president to know that Nigeria is this and not a section of Nigeria. I think that would be fantastic. Well, before we go, because like joke, we're almost 2.5 hours gone already. I want you to tell us about your operations, the operations of your institution, and how Nigerians can benefit from attending your school.
Okay, great. So the Godly Leadership Center is designed to be a one-stop shop for executive education. And so if there are institutions, individuals, private companies, who want, their staff, instead of spending money overseas, training, and there's capital flight, they rather spend those resources training with high-level local content, but at the same time, with a global faculty that will be able to transform their thinking. So we have 25 courses designed, from leadership masterclass to public speaking course, to strategic leadership program, to team dynamics, to all those, leadership development courses that you go and take in Harvard. You go and take in some of those institutions overseas. We now have them here in the Godly Leadership Center. And what we are saying is that, we can improve your competencies. We can improve your leadership culture as an organization when you sign retainership with our leadership center, at the end of the day. So whether you're private sector or public sector company, you can be transformed. Take, for instance, last 2 weeks when we had the last course we had, we had local speakers and we had some of the best names, from overseas, because we have the virtual system, the technology, that makes it possible for us to bring in any faculty anywhere in the world that, people would like to listen to. So at the end of the day, we have these courses run. So by this weekend, Friday and Saturday, we are hosting a public speaking course, titled Speaking with Power and Influence. How does public speaking help you accomplish your goals as a leader? How does public speaking help you grow as a leader? How do you sell your ideas? How do you sell, so people must learn how to comport themselves and don't even get angry in public. People must learn all of those type of things, emotional intelligence and all sorts. It's in our public speaking course. We offer that. And those of them, people who are afraid to speak in public. I have met a lot of executives, they are accomplished, but they are afraid to speak in public. Most of our leaders, they have things to say, but they are afraid to speak in public. That's why most of the times they, ask somebody else to do that for them. People just, are afraid to speak in public. So we help people, overcome fear and anxiety. So with this public speaking course, it's coming up on Friday and Saturday. So anybody who's interested, it's a 2-day intensive session, can send us, a note and, go to, my personal, go to the Godly Leadership Center and send, a note. Send us a note and say you'd like to participate. We will give you the opportunity to do so. And at a very good rate as well. So you have a choice of participating virtually or physically. So you can participate in the comfort of your bedroom or your office, and then some are physical in class because of the COVID-19 protocol. We don't have full class. We only take half of the class to enable people participate. In fact, in my own thinking, this is the best thing that is happening to Nigeria at this point in time. In the whole of this country, there's no investment in leadership development center as this. We now have it. So now that we now have it, government institutions, private institutions now have a place where they can save money. Instead of spending so much money traveling overseas, they can spend little or nothing and get leadership education as the place. By next week, Tuesday and Wednesday, just like that, you will be transformed completely. So these are the things that we're talking about. And there are 25 courses as outlined. So this is the biggest deal for this country at this time. And it will serve the West African region.
I hope I will have the time to join you at some point. That would be very, very nice.
No, but very interestingly, we have just, you have been appointed a faculty member, for the center. So it's quite, exciting. We cannot wait, to see you speak at the Global Leadership Training Program taking place on the 11th and 12th of November, where each African country, we have somebody representing each African country, where we're going to mobilize 5,000 people from all over Africa, and having people like Brian Tracy, some of the best names in leadership development, blow our minds away. Oh my God, I can't wait for all of that to happen. So Nigeria, get ready. Something great is about to happen. Let's make it happen.
It will happen by the grace of God. It will happen. I must say it's been so wonderful. We're just 5 minutes short of 2.5 hours. I don't know if you have some parting words for our viewers. You have the opportunity now.
So anyone listening to me, the greatest leaders that have shaped the world, they shaped the world through the high level of knowledge about specific leadership competencies. If you don't develop yourself, you won't be able to make a difference in our world. Preparation becomes key for every leader. You want to lead in the future, 5 years, 4 years from now, It is now that you must give yourself to learning. A learning system for you is the best thing you can do for yourself. And I also want you to learn how to speak with grace. Don't criticize what you don't understand. Don't criticize what you don't understand. Don't join those who bring other people down for the sake of bringing other people down. If you want to do anything for society, be a solution provider. Create a solution. If you say, I don't like this, create an option. Let the person see that you don't just want to criticize him or her for that sake, but you are bringing a solution. The person's like, I want to see a critical mass of young people grow with a sense of respect for institutions, respect for elders, respect for even where God has taken us to. If we're able to do that and begin to deepen ourselves in knowledge, leadership flows to the one who knows. When you know it in the boardroom, you lead. When you know it in any system, you lead. Why don't you invest in yourself so that you can develop those competencies and build your leadership capital base? Nigeria is looking for people who have competencies that will make a difference. I want to challenge you to go forth and develop yourself, discover yourself, develop yourself, and gain mastery. We are always available for you to be able to be the best you can. Follow me right now on my Instagram so that you can also benefit on a daily basis some of the secrets that we share. The Leadership Center awaits you. And sir, I'd like to say a big thank you to you for this great opportunity to discuss and share. I didn't even know 2.5 hours has gone. You know, I was just pouring my heart the way it is. You know, I love this country greatly, and you love this country too. That's one of the things that connects us together. And I love the fact that you've invested a lot in young people in this country. If there are people who have invested in young people, you're one of them. Professor Tommy, Gabalanoso, a few of them. And I believe that those investments will not be in vain.
Amen.
And finally, I would like us to think about that idea of the fellowship. The 100 of our friends who are successful, each person every year, taking on 50 people, we would be able to groom so many young people that would celebrate the gift of God in our lives. I thank you. For all of you who have been there listening, I want to thank you very much. Have a beautiful evening.
Sir Linus Okorie, I cannot thank you enough. I can assure you that we're going to bring you back, and we are going to emphasize it more because we need you to speak to thousands and thousands upon thousands of Nigerians and Africans in general via this platform. I want to thank you. I want to thank your wife for taking good care of you. And yes, if you don't have peace of mind at home, you cannot do this job. You cannot even venture into politics. I look forward to Nigeria of our dreams. I love your children. I saw your picture with them on that Ovation promo. Oh, they look so lovely.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Proud of their dad. We are proud of you.
Thank you, sir.
And
thank you, sir.
It's great that we have people like you and to mentor all of us. So on this note, our dear viewers on all the platforms, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, we thank you for your patience. It's been exactly 2.5 hours since we logged in, and I wish we could continue with in Nigeria and let you go to sleep so that you don't get to work. And is that what happened? You say you were on Instagram Live with Sir Linus Okorie. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
To have good night, everyone. God, thank you. So we're going to give you a party music. We're going to give you a party music. So we always like to end on a happy note. We will give you Papa Okorie.
Whoa.
And let me tell our viewers before they go away that tomorrow at exactly the same time clock, we shall be hosting a very, very powerful woman, Councillor Yemi Adenuga. She used to work with the AIT in Nigeria before she migrated to the Republic of Ireland, and she made history as the first elected Black female councillor in Ireland. In fact, all over the news in Ireland, and she's making us proud. Tomorrow is her birthday, and tomorrow we're bringing her to talk to us about her journey from Nigeria to Ireland. She's an example of what a Nigerian can accomplish under a conducive atmosphere and environment. So we're very proud of Councillor Yemi Adenuga. So tomorrow, please join me at 8 o'clock as we celebrate her and we bring her to talk to her. Thank you so much. And then on this note, we play our own anthem here. We have an anthem we play every night we're here. It's Dudu Fair by Simi. It's a love song. And we dedicate this to your wife, you and your wife.
Let me say to you, I cannot wait to see you. You are the treasure I've been waiting for. Do you know how much I really need you? I dey pray for the day when I can finally kiss you. You know, say every day I dey pray for you.